They say the badge is a symbol of honor, a promise to serve and protect. But for one man, it became something else entirely, a mask to hide his darkest sins. In the small town of Brooksville, Detective Marcus Hale was the man everyone trusted. The man parents pointed to as a role model, the man who shook hands at school fundraisers, stopped to help stranded drivers, and never missed Sunday service. To the people of Brooksville, Marcus was a hero. But they didn't see the late nights, the secret meetings, the quiet threats whispered in dark alleys. They didn't see the look in his eyes when no one was watching. The cold, calculating stare of a man building an empire right under everyone's nose. For years, crime in Brooksville seemed like a mystery. Cases solved too perfectly. Witnesses disappearing before trials. Suspects found dead in what police called unfortunate accidents. And at the center of it all was Marcus, standing proud at press conferences, holding the hands of grieving families, promising justice, while his own hands dripped with corruption. He thought no one would ever question him. After all, who would suspect the hero cop? But one person did. Lena Brooks, a young journalist with a fire in her heart and a reputation for digging where no one else dared to look. Lena had been investigating Brooksville's crime wave for months. Drugs, extortion, murder. Every lead she followed went cold. Every time she got close to the truth, it slipped through her fingers like smoke. And then one night, a stranger called her from a blocked number. His voice was low, shaking, like he knew he was risking his life just by speaking. "You're looking in the wrong places," he said. "The wolf you're chasing is guarding the flock." The line went dead. First, Lena didn't want to believe it. Marcus Hale, the town's golden boy? No, it didn't make sense. But the deeper she dug, the stranger things became. Financial records that didn't add up. Case files with missing pages. Evidence lockers missing key pieces after Marcus handled them. It was small things at first, things that could be brushed off as clerical errors. But when Lena followed Marcus one rainy night, what she saw shattered any doubts she had left. Through the cracked windshield of her old car, she watched Marcus meet with 3 known gang leaders behind an abandoned warehouse. No arrests, no backup, just quiet conversations and envelopes changing hands. Her camera clicked as she snapped photos, her heart pounding in her chest. Then her foot shifted, crushing a glass bottle beneath her shoe. The sound was deafening in the cold night air. Marcus's head turned sharply toward the noise. His eyes locked onto the shadows where Lena hid. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then slowly, Marcus smiled. From that night on, Lena knew she wasn't the hunter anymore. She was the prey. Marcus began showing up where he didn't belong. A black car parked near her apartment building late at night. Anonymous tips leading her to dead ends. A man on the street warning her to drop the story before it was too late. Marcus was using his badge to hunt her, the same way he used it to control Brooksville itself. He planted evidence making her look obsessed, unstable, like she had some personal vendetta against him. And slowly, Lena realized the police department wasn't going to save her, because Marcus wasn't a lone wolf. He was protected. When Lena finally gathered enough proof to confront the police chief, she stormed into his office with photos, recordings, timelines, a whole wall of connections proving Marcus's corruption. The chief listened in silence, then calmly closed the folder and looked her dead in the eyes. "Detective Hale," he said slowly, "is one of our best men. If you value your life, Ms. Brooks, you'll let this go." It hit her then. This wasn't about one corrupt cop. The rot went all the way to the top. That night, Lena came home to find her apartment door cracked open. The lights were off. The air felt heavy, like the whole building was holding its breath. She stepped inside slowly. "Hello?" she whispered. A shadow moved near the window. Marcus stepped forward, his smile calm, almost friendly. "You've been busy, Lena," he said softly. "I have to admit, you almost fooled me. Almost." Her voice shook. "Why are you doing this? You're supposed to protect people." Marcus tilted his head, that same calm smile never leaving his face. "Protect them? Lena, I own them. Every crime in this city, every headline, every arrest, I control it all. And you were perfect. She blinked, confused. Perfect? For what? Marcus's eyes gleamed in the dim light. For doing exactly what I wanted. Every clue you found? Every lead you followed? I planted them. You thought you were exposing me. But really, you were eliminating my competition. You've been working for me this whole time, Lena. Her heart dropped. It was all a game. The witnesses, the evidence, the secret meetings. Marcus had orchestrated everything, using her like a puppet to wipe out rival gangs while making himself untouchable. He wasn't just a corrupt cop. He was the mastermind behind every crime wave in Brooksville for the last decade. Marcus stepped closer, pulling a gun from his coat. The metallic click echoed through the room. "The story ends here, Lena," he whispered. The screen goes black. A single gunshot rings out. And then, in the darkness, the narrator's voice returns, low, heavy, chilling. In Brooksville, appearances are everything. The hero you worship today might be the villain who destroys you tomorrow, because evil doesn't always lurk in the shadows. Sometimes, it wears a badge. The shot echoed through Lena's apartment, rattling the thin walls as the world seemed to stop breathing. A neighbor screamed. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked wildly. And then, silence. Marcus lowered his gun, his calm breathing the only sound in the room. But when he looked down, his smirk faltered. Lena's body wasn't on the floor. The window was open. A cold breeze rushed in, carrying the faint sound of hurried footsteps fading into the night. Marcus cursed under his breath. Somehow she'd slipped away. From that moment, Lena was no longer a journalist hunting the truth. She was a fugitive, a ghost in her own city. Marcus mobilized the entire police force against her, using his influence to paint her as a dangerous criminal. News outlets, many of them funded by Marcus's backroom deals, plastered her face across every TV screen. Local journalists wanted for questioning in connection to multiple homicides. Marcus even staged evidence at crime scenes to make her look like a deranged vigilante. Brooksville now believed she was a monster. But Lena wasn't running aimlessly. She had one advantage Marcus didn't know about. The mysterious voice who'd called her weeks earlier. The man who warned her about the wolf guarding the flock. His name was Daniel Cross, a former detective who'd once been Marcus's partner. Daniel had disappeared years ago after publicly accusing Marcus of corruption. Everyone believed he was dead. Everyone except Lena. Under the cover of darkness, Lena met Daniel in an abandoned train yard outside the city. His face was gaunt, his eyes haunted by years of hiding. "You have no idea how deep this goes," he told her. "Marcus isn't just running a criminal network. He is the network. Politicians, judges, even federal agents, they all owe him. Taking him down means dismantling the entire system." Lena's voice shook. "Then why come forward now? Why help me?" Daniel's hands trembled as he handed her a small flash drive. "Because I can't do it alone. And because Marcus killed my wife. This is the only proof left of what he's done. Names, transactions, secret recordings. It's enough to burn his empire to the ground, if you survive long enough to use it." Meanwhile, Marcus's perfect world was beginning to crack. His paranoia grew as Lena continued to evade capture. Rival gangs whispered about betrayal. Even some of his most loyal officers started questioning his orders. But Marcus wasn't just fighting to keep control. He was fighting to keep his identity from shattering. Because deep down, Marcus believed he wasn't the villain. In his mind, he was saving Brooksville by controlling it through fear. "Better the devil you know," he told himself in the mirror late at night, convincing himself that his empire was a form of twisted justice. Days later, Lena and Daniel executed a desperate plan. They would leak the flash drive to a federal agency outside Marcus's reach. But to do that, they needed to cross the city undetected. Marcus, anticipating their move, set up checkpoints, surveillance drones, even false roadblocks. Every street became a trap. Every alley held danger. The night of their escape was a nightmare. Sirens wailed. Floodlights swept across buildings. Lena and Daniel ran through the rain, clutching the drive like it was their last hope. At one point, Daniel shoved Lena into a dumpster to hide as Marcus himself stalked the alley, his boots splashing in puddles inches from her face. She held her breath, praying he wouldn't hear her pounding heart. Marcus paused, sensing something, then walked away. They barely made it to the safe house on the city's edge. Exhausted, Lena plugged the drive into a dusty laptop, ready to send its contents to federal agents. But as the files opened, her blood ran cold. The drive didn't just contain evidence of Marcus's crimes. It contained everything. Documents, videos, recordings, showing that Marcus had manipulated Brooksville for over a decade. But buried deep within the files was something Lena never expected. Footage of Daniel himself, standing beside Marcus, shaking hands, planning hits. She turned slowly to face Daniel. You worked with him." Daniel's expression hardened. "I built this empire with him, and when I tried to walk away, he killed my wife to punish me. Helping you isn't about justice, Lena. It's about revenge." Lena staggered back, betrayal hitting her like a physical blow. Before she could react, the safe house door exploded inward. Marcus and his men stormed in, guns raised. Chaos erupted. Bullets tore through the room as Lena dove behind an overturned table. Daniel returned fire, screaming Marcus's name with pure hatred. In the chaos, Marcus shot Daniel in the chest. As Daniel fell, he grabbed Marcus's arm and hissed, "You'll never be free of this, even when I'm gone." Marcus ripped his arm away, his face twisted in rage. Lena seized the moment, grabbing the flash drive and bolting through a side window into the night. Marcus didn't chase her immediately. Instead, he knelt beside Daniel, watching the life drain from his former partner's eyes. When Marcus finally turned to pursue Lena, his face was different, colder, more determined, because now this wasn't just about protecting his empire. It was personal. Lena ran through the rain-soaked streets, clutching the drive to her chest. Behind her, the entire city seemed to come alive with sirens and shouts. She stumbled into an abandoned church, its stained glass windows shattered, and hid in the shadows. As dawn broke, she plugged the drive into a nearby laptop she'd hidden earlier, beginning the upload. But before it could finish, a shadow fell across the cracked floorboards. Marcus stood in the doorway, his silhouette framed by the rising sun. His voice was calm, almost tender. "Lena, you don't understand. You think I'm the villain. But everything I've done, every lie, every death, it was to save this city. You take me down and Brooksville burns." Lena's hand hovered over the keyboard. "You're not saving anyone, Marcus. You're just feeding your own power." Marcus stepped closer, his gun glinting in the light. "Then why?" he whispered. "Does it feel so right?" The laptop beeped. The upload was complete. Somewhere out there, agents were receiving the files that would destroy Marcus's empire. Marcus saw the screen and his calm facade shattered. He lunged forward. The screen cuts to black. A single, chilling gunshot echoes. And then, the narrator's voice returns, soft and haunting. "In Brooksville, power is never destroyed. It only changes hands. And sometimes, the greatest danger isn't the monster you can see, but the one hiding behind a hero's smile." The gunshot echoed like thunder through the empty church. For a moment, there was nothing but silence, heavy and suffocating. Then, slowly, Marcus staggered backward, clutching his chest. His gun slipped from his fingers and clattered to the ground. His eyes, wide with disbelief, locked on Lena. She was still standing, trembling, the faint glow of the laptop screen illuminating her tear-streaked face. But Lena wasn't holding a weapon. Marcus's own gun lay at her feet. He gasped for air, his voice raw. You think you've won?" Lena knelt beside him, her voice cold, unrecognizable. "No, Marcus, I didn't win. We lost. This city, it was never ours to save." His lips twisted into a bitter smile as blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. "You don't understand. Without me, they'll tear each other apart. Brooksville will burn." Lena's jaw tightened. "Maybe it deserves to. Marcus's body went still, his last breath escaping like a whisper. But even in death, Marcus's shadow lingered. Within minutes, sirens wailed in the distance. Lena grabbed the flash drive, yanked it from the laptop, and ran. Outside, dawn had fully broken, painting the ruined city in pale gold. Somewhere deep inside the city, agents were already receiving the files. Marcus's empire, built on lies, intimidation, and blood, was collapsing in real time. By noon, Brooksville was chaos. The news spread like wildfire. The city's beloved police chief had been exposed as the leader of a sprawling criminal network. Streets filled with protests, angry mobs clashed with riot police, and rival gangs seized the opportunity to settle old scores. Politicians distanced themselves, judges resigned, and the mayor went into hiding. The city wasn't saved. It was tearing itself apart, just like Marcus had predicted. Lena watched it all unfold from a dingy motel room, her face pale as she stared at the TV. She had become a symbol, the whistleblower who brought down the untouchable cop. Reporters spoke her name with awe. Protesters carried signs bearing her image. But the adoration felt hollow. The city didn't know the full story. They didn't know about Daniel, about the bloodshed, about the choices Lena had made. She wasn't a hero. She was just surviving. That night, there was a knock at her motel door. Lena froze, reaching for the small revolver she'd stolen earlier. A voice came through the wood, calm and measured. "Lena, it's over. You can open the door now." It was Agent Carter, the federal officer she'd been secretly communicating with for weeks. Relieved, she opened the door and instantly felt cold steel against her temple. Carter's expression was blank, professional. "You've done well," he said quietly. "Better than we expected." Lena's stomach turned. "What are you talking about?" Carter stepped inside, closing the door behind him. Marcus was a problem, a big one, but chaos like this, it creates opportunity. Brooksville needs a new leader, someone the people trust, someone like you. Lena stumbled back, shaking her head. "No, I'm not like him." Carter's smile was thin, calculated. "You already are. You just don't see it yet." He reached into his coat and tossed a thick folder onto the bed. Photographs spilled out. Images of Lena at crime scenes, holding the flash drive, standing beside Daniel. "You think we didn't plan this?" Carter's voice hardened. "We used you, Lena. We gave you just enough truth to destroy Marcus. And now, you belong to us." Lena's breath caught. It all came crashing down. The mysterious tip-offs, the perfectly timed escapes, even Daniel's sudden reappearance. None of it had been coincidence. She hadn't been fighting the system. She'd been playing a part in its evolution. But there was one more truth Lena didn't reveal. As Carter spoke, she realized something. Marcus's network hadn't truly been destroyed. It had been transferred. The chaos, the violence, the fear, it was all part of a larger plan. And she wasn't just a pawn. She was the queen. Her trembling stopped. Slowly, she stood taller, her expression hardening. Carter noticed the change and hesitated. "Lena, what are you doing?" She met his gaze, her voice calm, steady. "You think you used me, but you've been following my plan from the start." Carter's confusion deepened. "Your plan?" Lena smiled, a cold, razor-sharp smile. "Daniel wasn't my ally. He was my creation. I planted him in Marcus's life years ago. Fed him just enough rage and grief to make him useful. Marcus thought he was untouchable because I wanted him to think that. Every step he took, every decision he made, I was behind it." Carter's face went pale. "No, that's impossible." Lena stepped closer, her eyes glinting. "Brooksville doesn't need saving. It needs control. Marcus was sloppy, emotional. I'm not. And now that the city sees me as a hero, they'll follow me anywhere." She leaned close, her whisper ice cold. The perfect cover for the perfect crime. Before Carter could react, Lena pressed the revolver to his chest and pulled the trigger. The muffled shot barely registered over the distant chaos outside. Carter collapsed, his folder scattering across the stained carpet. Lena calmly picked it up, tucking it under her arm. She walked to the motel window and looked out at the burning city. Sirens wailed, fires raged, and people screamed in the streets. To them, she was the woman who had ended a tyrant's reign, the savior of Brooksville. But in truth, she was its new ruler, invisible, untouchable, unstoppable. As she turned to leave, her voice lingered like a ghost. Marcus was right about one thing. Power doesn't disappear. It just changes hands. The screen fades to black, but before the credits roll, a final scene plays. A young rookie cop, standing in a dark alley, speaks into a burner phone. "She's taken the bait," he whispers. "Phase 2 begins now." A distorted voice on the other end replies, "Good, let her think she's in control. For now." The final image is of Lena's face on a massive billboard, smiling down on the city she secretly owns. And then, the haunting words appear on screen. "The most dangerous villain is the one wearing a hero's mask." Please subscribe, like, and comment to this channel so you don't miss out on what happened next.